everyone. Thanks for joining us today on our webinar about a full JDE e-commerce site project start to user acceptance testing in 10 business days. And we're going to show you how it's done and also go over a brief case study of one of our customers, AstroNova. With me on the KRI side today is Doug Pulaski, our Director of Sales and Marketing, and Joe DiPietro, our Enterprise Solutions Sales. And just a heads up, if at any time during our presentation you have a question, you can always ask in the box on your right-hand side there, and we'll try to answer them, as we go along, or if not, we'll always answer them at the end. So for right now, I will hand the reins over to Doug.
Katie, thank you very much, and I just want to first thank everybody that's attending this webinar. We realize your time is valuable, and thank you for taking an hour out of your day to watch this webinar, to hopefully determine if there's potential fit between our company here, KRI Systems, and our solutions, and possibly your current or future near-term or far-term project requirements. Suman Prasad will also be involved in this demo, our Chief Technology Officer. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but he's going to demo our platform. And we have a saying around here at KRI, platform matters. And it's really the heart of the focus with this webinar. We work very heavily in the JD Edwards space, and the SAP space. JD Edwards is our primary practice area. And how quick can you do the project? How quick can we get? And it's either a new sales channel for companies that do not have an existing e-commerce portal, or they have something and it doesn't have the integration or the functionality, and they want to replace it with something more modern. But it's a key criteria, and it touches on many different aspects, and the platform is one of them, and I'll touch on that in some of the slides. I do want to make this a live demo. I want to both show you what we call our demo environment, which defines our out-of-box functionality, which directly pertains to why we can create websites so quickly, and I also will be reviewing the AstroNova from a case study perspective, our customer in Providence, Rhode Island. And first off, KRI, we're in Aurora, Illinois, suburb of Chicago. We've been around for 13 years. Our primary practice area is e-commerce and e-payments. The platform does extend horizontally across the business enterprise, and we have many companies out there having applications that focus on supplier procurement, things like PO requisitioning, very integrated with JD Edwards, all of our solutions, PO management, acknowledgement, ASN management, paperless AP automation, vouchers, two-way, three-way. We have companies doing extended functionality from a self-service, working against the JDE HR, and just many, many custom development projects out there. Most of them are, I would say, are portal-based, tied to forms and workflow and integration to JD Edwards, like onboarding, supplier onboarding, employee onboarding, a customer onboarding process, item master approval, many different PLM type projects. So we're really two companies. We're a company focused, we're an e-commerce payments company, and then we have the custom development side. We have many customers. This is just a sample representation of some of our JD Edwards E1 and World customers. The software I'm showing, equally if you're on E1 or World, it's the exact same software functionality. Obviously, the integration methodology is different. E1, it's business function centric, but is an example that most companies want to create the sales order from a business function perspective, but if you wanted to do it through say a Z file, That's possible. All that is math. World obviously deals with 5250 emulation, same functionality, real time. And this is a depiction of this platform application setup that we work with here that's similar to JD Edwards Enterprise 1. JD Edwards E1 has the tools layer, Cafe 1, or the prior versions of the tools level, and then the applications sit on top of that. And it really is a superior way of providing software solutions, because the alternative is to work with a software company that's programming language based. They're centric generally to being a .NET shop or a Java shop. It could be PHP, C#. But if you're coming from a programming angle, when you're dealing with things like customizations, you're dealing with custom code. And that causes issues with upgrades. It causes issues with stability. Sometimes from a programming perspective, a .NET, you could be working on one thing and interfere with another area of functionality. I've seen that directly with my experience at other companies. So there's huge advantages. Plus, our development platform, if companies want to have development ownership, and about half of our customers do. Half of them, they come to us. We want turnkey, high assist. We're lean in IT, but the other half are very, very intrigued with the development platform. On one end of the spectrum, we have companies just buying EASYProcess and developing their applications themselves, or companies using it for the custom extensions, the phase 2, phase 3. It's a no-code platform development environment. You're doing business logic and workflow logic and the web parts in a drag and drop widget. Here's a representation of crate item, and as you can see, there's a lot of logic behind those, and that's what Suman is going to show towards the end of our presentation. There's just a schematic on some workflow process, very, very strong. The platform is full change management enabled. This is important, especially with quick implementations and then doing changes at that point forward. You got to make sure that the dev and the test QA and the production environment works similar to JDE Object Management Workbench, where you're providing full audit control, and we do. I happen to know that our competitors, for things like moving from test to production, it's a copy-paste. Those are nuances that companies need to be aware of when you are evaluating and questioning the vendor and the solution that you're considering. Our solution is full cloud. That's represented on the right, or on-prem. Now, with the cloud, one reason for quick implementation is our #1 cloud data center partner is Amazon AWS. We also work with Rackspace. We've done implementations inside of Microsoft Azure. We are having conversations, obviously being so Oracle-centric, with Oracle. We want to be agnostic, even though you've got to have a default partner where the software resides. And for us, that's Amazon AWS. Predominantly, they're Ohio, their Oregon regions, and their Australia regions, those 3 data centers. And this is a big element to the topic of today's webinar, quick installations. We've integrated against Amazon APIs so that in 10 minutes, and let me switch over to a different, there it is right there. So in 10 minutes, using Amazon AWS APIs, we can create not just the application server, the web, we can create the database server, we can create all of the environments, we can create the 3 URLs. We default our integration to our JDE internal E1 9.12, the clients, and then from there, VPN, that's how we connect to your JD Edwards. So you tell us what your firewall is, say Cisco, give us one of your network engineers, and in an hour we will be hooked up. An hour or so we'll have this AWS environment that's sitting out there ready to go, integrated. Other companies can't do this, and really this is a sign too on once again, the platform, the architecture, the technology. We are state of the art. We'll challenge any other competitor to us in terms of how we're set up and how we're architected. But I'm going to switch back to the PowerPoint presentation. There we go. And JD Edwards integration. We've been doing this for 13 years. We're JD Edwards integration experts. And I kind of chuckle sometimes when companies think, oh, it's just, creating the sales order and, say, working against availability and working against the address book, the customer master logic, so you're picking up their preferences with branch plant. It's really a lot more than that. I mean, this second box here, configured items. Mercury Marine is a customer of ours, and their outboard engines are configured items. We're not a configurator company, but we're working against the JDE configurator logic, the segments, the values, cross-segment editing, assembly inclusion logic, to create this browser, this front-end rich browser GUI guided selling process that takes the configuration, if you're familiar with it, from the P4210 or Power Forms, and really simplifies it. And even things like order create. You got to factor things like order change. Do you want to allow order change? And adding lines, deleting lines, up to a certain status. Obviously, I've never known a company that once it's shipped, so you define it up to, say, pick or ship confirmation, but order change, ability to work with quotes and convert a quote, and a quote could, from our perspective, natively working against the SQ order type, or storing the quotes in our system. And we offer a lot of different options. I'm not going to be able to go through all the areas of functionality. It's a very, very mature product. It's implemented very much out of the box quickly. Here's one micro-centric area of functionality. So when I think of an e-commerce portal, I think of, first off, the e-commerce portion, creating an order. And the process is, as everybody's familiar with, finding items to add to the shopping cart, going through the checkout process, and creating the order in JD Edwards. And we have 10 ways for the user to find items, to add to the shopping carts. That's very important. And once again, we have videos. This quote by Gartner that I referenced in the mailing, this is really, really important. This is another reason why we can implement so quickly, is we've adhered to the Gartner, what they call, an API-based e-commerce solution. We recognize, as an example, solar. Do not consider any solution. I mean, I will endorse Oracle Commerce. Oracle Commerce and Deca is a great faceted search engine. There's 3 enterprise-level faceted search engines out there in the world, so to speak. It is Endeca. It was an acquisition by Oracle. They paired it up with ATG. They sell it as Oracle Commerce. It's very, very good. It's powering predominantly what's called the Internet 500. Retail operations, big companies. Kohl's is a customer. Very expensive, though. You're talking about a 7-figure budget, and please, you can validate that yourself. But they don't take a best practices, but you can pretty much do anything you want. The second faceted search engine is Solar. It's open source. That's who we use. IBM WebSphere Commerce uses it. SAP Hybris uses it. Magento. And then the third enterprise faceted search engine is another open source product called Elasticsearch. So make sure with your decision you're dealing with a company, because that's the modern tier 1. And then other things. You want a package that Google's figured out translate. Everybody knows that. You can go into any web page, use Google to translate it, and then they have APIs. So it only makes sense that packages for, like us, for localization, is we're using these touch points. Google Analytics for reporting. You know, obviously business function, we're working through the Vertex geocode or JD Edwards, but third-party, logistics, out of the box, we work against your contract with web services, et cetera, et cetera. And this is a key to the quick implementation. And then a modern architecture here, and we don't have time. I mean, I'm already 15 minutes in, and I will send the slide. This touches on the approaches, homegrown, where we fit in, EASYCommerce, our exclusives. We're the only one to take solar and integrate it natively against the CAT 1 through 10. When we do demos, we ask you for a data dump, an Excel data dump, so we can show you the power of I did a demo earlier this week with 28,000 items from a company, and it took solar about 20 minutes to index. And what does index mean? Index means, there we go right here, that it's like business intelligence, like ETL and creation of a data mart or a data warehouse. It makes the information intelligent. You do not want to consider the old-fashioned way. You do want a solar, and it doesn't have to be solar, but you want a faceted search engine so that the search boxes auto-predict, auto-complete, spell check, synonyms. You got guided navigation. I'll show you that. It's all free. It comes with indexing. You don't want to have to go through this manual creation of a product catalog. And here's some characteristics. It's a website company of ours, and it touches on, you know, like Best Buy. You go into TV, they use solar. Solar is used by Best Buy. And so when you click on TV, the user can decide based on product attributes. Do I want to drill down first by brand? Maybe they definitely only consider Samsung or LG, and then price, maybe, you know, screen size, 55 to 60 inch, a type of TV, curved, 4K, etc. And that's what we offer. And once again, all you have to do is type in Apache Solar. You'll come to this page. And this is a big part of why we can implement so quickly. If you don't use a faceted search engine, you're going to look at probably a year to implement. And I've personally sold over 100 and consulted with over 100 JDE companies. That's the reality. And here's how we take solar and manage it into our admin. So once again, this is what I'm talking about. Oracle and Endeca is excellent. We use solar, Elasticsearch. I'll send this out. And you know what? I'm going to kind of go right to the demo. We'll send out the PowerPoint. So if I go to, so let me log out of here. So we have a demo environment, and I'm going to start out with a profile called Paul Johnson. And I'm going to log in. And based on my login, you can see that my login profile does have to have association against a JDE address book. And you see it's 4242, branch plant, default branch plant, and the customer master is M30. And you tell us what you want. Do you want salesperson in here? But I come into an environment here, and I could do things like track order. I can come in here and, you know, do a search against get price and availability, and that's what I'm doing right now. And you can see what's showing up is, you know, that there's 330. The retail is 231. Not my net. That's the advanced pricing, and it's a real time going out to JD Edwards. And we have processing options. We have hundreds and hundreds of processing options at the system, at the role, at the account. The account is the address book, and at the user level. So you can define these hundreds of parameters to say, we don't want to show multiple branch plants when inquiring, when dealing with ordering, or we do. I have it turned on. In fact, I can go, I should probably do this. I have to go into another web. So if I was to I go to the admin, a picture tells 1,000 words. So the UI, we've got a configurator, so the look and feel. And what I'm talking about here as an example is sales order. So this is at the system level, and I could have come in here and looked at it at a user level, but this is where we're defining processes such as how you want availability to show. Do you want it to show as a condition, if it's a positive integer, in stock, negative, out of stock? What version of the sales order do you want to work against? How do you want to establish hold codes logic in JD Edwards? And the key thing here is I just showed you the system level, but I can then show you detailed scenarios at the user or the account level. What that means is I'm going through a demo cycle right now. This is one of literally a million different iterations, and I have one set up for a Paul Johnson. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show you a little bit about the solar. So solar, whether you go into Granger, you can always tell a site that has a faceted search engine. And once again, this is a situation where, if I'm coming here and the search box is intelligent, I type in CA, and you notice it's coming up with all of this predictive, just like you get on Best Buy and all of the other sites. This is through the solar indexing that I was describing a second ago. So if I was to, click on the search word cable, I now have 6 results. I can view it in a grid, I can view it in a thumbnail, I can view it in list. This is what we mean by best practices. We've taken the best practices for e-commerce, as an example, those 10 ways of finding items, and we implemented it so it can be implemented very, very quickly. And I come down here, and if I wanted to, add an item to the shopping cart, I'm adding an item to the shopping cart. If I wanted to basically take out the cable search, I'm now back at the parent level. I'm dealing with 23,833 items. So from a catalog perspective, over here I can drill down and say, and this by the way is cat code 1. This is cat code 1 represented, fully indexed. So I can drill down to this category of cat code 1, and then from there I know it's an expensive item, I know it's priced there, so you can see I'm drilling down to 229, and you can see the path that I've worked through to refine. If I want to, note 12 of these and 6 of these, and add that to the shopping cart, I could do that. So you're seeing search intelligence, you're seeing the category, even, like Amazon. If you reference a control in Amazon, they have the ability to search like this. So we have that too. In fact, on Amazon, you can do search by all departments, and I could, simply drill down into these 73 items that way. So this is all automatic with solar, and it's really, really important to making sure that you're using. And this is technology where a few years back only the $1 million sites on the internet had this, and now companies like us, a full implementation, low 6 figures, the way that we've implemented our solution, you can have it too. So if I go to the shopping cart, there are the items in the shopping cart, and based on showing you admin and the what's called the functionality, the configuration, functionality configuration, do you want multiple units of measure? In other words, if you have JD Edwards set up with eaches and pack, and you want to enforce the logic with pack, 4 to a pack, you just turn that on as a processing option, and it's enabled like this. Do you want, and it's a processing option at the user, account, role, and system level, do you want the user to be able to select different branch plants inside the shopping cart? So this is all functionality. Up here is simply a web part called Quick SKU. So I could come in here and say, I want to search on the word emerald, and do a search, and there we are. I'll select that one, and I want to do a different quantity. I want to do a quantity of 3 and add it. So that's one of the 10 ways. Quick SKU, mass upload. It's as simple as here's a template right here. So somebody can download the template and they can see, oh, they're simply requiring item number and quantity to do an upload. So we have that functionality too. And let me close on that. I'm kind of moving quickly along because we only have an hour. And so we can do a create quote. We have marketing catalogs called upsell. We've got cross-sell. It's impossible. We have like hundreds and hundreds of functionality touch points here. Proceed to the checkout. So I'm in the checkout process. Unlike some systems, they take page after page, many clicks. We've said, hey, checkout, would be best served by simply putting everything. And this page is soft coded. So as an example, for the PO number, if I was to put quick install webinar 123 is the PO, and that's a required field. And request date, additional instructions. This is delivery in JD Edwards, I'll show. So ship to docs 9 through 18. Shipping method, we work against it's a web service, so we work against your contract. Obviously, to do that, you need weights and postal codes, which would be represented by the branch plant and the ship to. And speaking of the ship to, so this would be, if there's multiple ship tos, it would be represented here based on your address book, parent, child, drop ship. And once again, this could be at the user level, the account level, yes for this account, no for this account, yes for this user. This is the exact same thing as ship to override in JD Edwards, a CSR doing that. And let's go ahead, and here are the items that I put in the account. And let's go ahead and do a credit card. So it can either be AR terms, credit card, do a submit order. Now at this point, we create the order first. And you see this, the order is on hold. There's a lot of reasons for a decline. So we don't want to cause issues with missed orders and that. And so this is our methodology for showing this. And in fact, if I was to show 3381 from the order header, and I logged out, that order's in JD Edwards right now, and it's 3381. So I do a find, and you see that there is this hold code, this CA hold code, and that's because it's a credit card order. I haven't accepted the credit card, so it goes on a hold. And then coming back here, if I want to enter the credit card credentials as a user, I can do that. We do everything at the fullest extent of PCI. Let me give you an example. I'm going to right-click where my mouse is at with card number, and I'm going to do a view frame. You notice I'm at CyberSource. So we do not do any type of encryption when it comes to credit card, when it comes to PCI. CHD, cardholder data is the acronym. That's your liability, is the cardholder data. We do like iframe, so this from PCI perspective, the cardholder data processing, transmit, storage, which is the tokenization, is all done at the payment gateway. In the case of CyberSource, it's a Visa server, so I'm actually doing this on a Visa server. Or I can simply come in here and select an existing token. This is a prior payment profile, and I can simply do an authorize, and the authorization was successful. So you're seeing down here now the transaction history with the transaction ID, the authorization number. I could log into CyberSource, show you that information there. If I go back to JD Edwards and I do a refresh, you see the hold code is gone. And very quickly, let me just show you the personalization. So I'm going to log in with a different profile. I'm going to log in with Ryan Anderson, or try to at least. There we go. So Ryan is a different profile. If Ryan, as an example, goes to the catalog, back here where I showed you the admins or the feature, it was in the feature configurator. In fact, I'll show you. Go down here to the sales so that we can see that Ryan Anderson, we did, and you see that in the tooltip there. Ryan Anderson is order goes on hold. Availability is set to a different configuration. So availability for Ryan is show actual availability. We go out to the tables with, on-hand hard soft commits, and this is what the values that are showing up here. Something else I wanted to show you in terms of the JD Edwards integration. I mean, when you go to the item detail screen, I've been showing things from the catalog grid, but things like the prices. We are working real time against the adjustment schedule, advanced pricing, and we can see the price break there. In fact, I'm going to make sure that it's $49.50. So I want to make this a quantity 200 to show that. So I add that to the shopping cart. And getting back here to the grid. This is quick view right here. So it just brings up a window and you tell us what level you want it in. So once again, there's 3 levels. You can view it from the catalog, thumbnail list. You can view it quick view. You can go into the item detail page. This is all created automatically. Even the import routines that we create, you create association with documentation. If you want review tab on it, there's no reviews here. But once again, the product manual, if you wanted that associated, that's not sure what's going to come up here, but it is it's an associated item level document. It's a piece of collateral that we have. So I wanted to make sure that I covered that. And you saw, the availability. So at this point, I'm just going to proceed to the checkout. I'm going to say Ryan order and put in a request date. Try to make this as realistic. I'll put in a shipping. And then this one is just going to be AR terms. So I submit the order. This is interesting. The PO number has already been used once. Confirm the order again if you want to. I have that actually turned on, and it's basically, I forgot about this configuration option, and it's basically checked. It's a configure option that says check for duplicate POs, and sure enough, it's doing its job. And we could then, under that configuration logic, in the admin, we can say, no, don't allow it, or it was simply an alert and it is allowing it. So I am going to go ahead and submit the order. Sometimes I forget about all the functionality, and there it is. With that?
So that's why we got them.
That's right. So 3382. So if I go back to JD Edwards, let me close out of that. And 3382, do a find on that. There's that order, and it's on hold code. So what does that mean? Hold code might be they're a credit issue, and you just want to put it on hold code. But if I come back here from the perspective of logging in as an employee right now, I'm going to do that. I'm going to log in as, say, a Chester Rakes and log in. And this is now an employee that wants to review all these orders that go on hold, and I'm going to release it. Are you sure you want to release this order? And I go, yes. And I come back here, and I do a refresh, and the hold code is gone. And says there's a lot of, like I said, detail involved. It's all based on best practices. The install can happen quickly. And because we're limited on time, and I do want to show our platform, I am going to come into, where was I? Yeah, I am going to come into, from the perspective of Paul Johnson, and quickly go over the many other portal functionalities. I call portal, moving CSR functionality to the web, like inquire on sales orders. So this is what I'm doing here. I'm looking at, say, sales order details. I can do a reorder. You notice under the sales order, we have documents here. So if you wanted a document association with sales orders, there's the order acknowledgement. These are PDFs, and it could be the pack slip, the bill of lading, the invoice once it gets generated. So these are various inquiries. We've got a message system. I showed you price and availability. Back order summary, it just executes a SQL command that, based on myself, I'm going back. One thing I should show, though, is that on top of all of our portal grids, we have filtering up here. So, depending on how far you want to go back in, like the 4211, 4211.9, and what I mean by that is maybe you want to put a constraint on here so they're only looking at their last 30 days or year to date. We're not putting that constraint. You can do it. But the filtering is, I want to specifically find an order, and it's a compound filter, and there it is right there. It could be an order status, a PO number, and it allows you to find. And we have that on all of our menus. If I go to account summary, now we're getting into the means of, and you tell us what you want to pull. We can work against any field in JD Edwards from the perspective of, if you just wanted to show credit available and running balance, open invoices. So here's another area of credit card. So, if I just wanted to show invoice 3644, once again, filter on that, and I can look at it. Maybe I wanted to print it. I can come in here and do a print. So the print could be one of two things. If you've got documents like Crateform or Optio, we can hyperlink those documents to, say, the invoice number. This, what I'm showing with the print, is we have code simply called auto PDF create. And that's what it is. We're saying take these fields in JD Edwards and auto create a PDF. And we could do that for pretty much anything. If I wanted to proceed to the payments, there's that same payment path that you saw a second ago. If I wanted to, and I didn't show you this before, if I wanted to split the payment between, say, $1,001 there and the remaining amount there, and I do an authorize. That processing, we're going out to our CyberSource test account real time, and it says one or more payments have failed. The successful payment has been applied, and there's a lot of reason for a failure, and there's a decline, and I get an email, but this is kind of interesting. I still have the $1,001 $1 remaining balance. So the first one failed. So what I'm going to do in this particular case, I know that this is good, so I'm just going to apply it to that. Whoops, that is a bad credit card. So this is a partial, and that's the reason why we have that there. But basically, it allows, the open invoice payment. We can do it with unapplied cash too. I can come in and say, amount $202, Doug, and proceed to the payment. I'm going to use a different one now. That 111 is a bad credit card, and I might have reached the expiration. I can check the email, but I'm going to use a different one. I'm going to use this American Express. We'll see what the results are there, and that was authorization success. So I've done that. If I go to payments, this is coming right from JDE. So there's the RU doc type. You can see we fully worked through the FOB 311 and all the GL. We created the batch number, the payment ID. I don't have time to get into the detail. This is paying an invoice here, the $2,900 with the invoice. And you're seeing all of this information with payments. We have statements, and that's what you're seeing here. Once again, real time from J.D. Edwards. This is, once again, auto PDF create. So within the scope of an hour, we don't have much time to go through the full functionality. One thing I want to say, though, about the implementation is we can take two paths with an implementation. AstroNova took a path where they said, give me your out-of-the-box functionality. So that's what I'm showing here with our demo environment. They said, just give us out-of-the-box functionality, and we want to do a .NET change from that point forward. So what they did, and if we look at the presentation from Mark last 2 weeks ago, you can see that in 10 days, we implemented it. And then from there, our platform allows us to do this. This would be very, very hard to do from a .NET perspective. But our platform then allowed us to go in, and you can see there's unit of measure logic. A lot of that, we're picking it up, and we're making sure this is minimum order. Here is, freight calculation, and it's very, very involved. It's integrated against not just their Varsity Logistics TMS and J.D. Edwards. They actually also integrated it against their PLM system. Their PLM system was where the weight attributes in that are, and they wanted to create this calculation, and they didn't have the benefit. If you go to their shipping dock right now, they've got scanners, and Varsity, it scans the boxes and creates the freight line. And by doing this algorithm, working with our web service, once again, why you got to make sure it has strong APIs. And we were able to do that. Ship to overrides was a little bit unique. So you can see the approach that AstroNova took. There is another approach that we can take with customers, and that approach is, and I'm showing the Excel here, but we go out with a requirements meeting, and we talk about the JDE setup, we talk about the e-commerce setup, and the feature list that we have, the details, all of our JDE touch points, server. So this is a direction with an install where companies want us to implement something close to the final version as much as possible. Many companies, especially first-time e-commerce companies, they don't know what to ask, and so they like this AstroNova approach. Come on out, install it, then we'll do a .NET change. And if you're a software company, that's hard, and that's why I want to take the last 15 minutes, and I want to go. So I have Suman Prasad here, and he is our Chief Technology Officer. And to really add substance to this webinar topic of quick install, Suman's actually going to show EASYProcess and why a platform matters, why we can do, and the platform directly tied to directly tied to being able to do it in 10 days and the .NET changes or the other approach where we detail that out at the beginning.
Definitely. Hello everyone. As Doug mentioned, I'm going to show the platform. So what you are looking at is the EASYProcess Enterprise Manager. It gives you a complete view of our all environments installed inside your enterprise. We always install development, QA, and PD environment, and we do not copy and paste our sources across the environment. What we have is a change management system where you can promote sources from DB to, as you see here, from DB to QA to PD. And each developer will have their own sources checked out by them. It maintains a very good team development, help us do a speed development on EASYProcess platform. So the next thing I want to show you is that I want to actually show you an example of a change. If you have a change order to make a change in, say, find and track order, what it will take to do in the EASYProcess platform. So I'm going to show you that. So these are the URLs. Doug was showing you the production URL. I have also the DB and QA URL pulled up. These are all three environments you saw there. They all have their own websites. So I'm going to log in as Paul Johnson here in the DB environment. And I'm going to do a find and track order that Doug has already showed that to you. So this is the web part. I want to make a quick change into this web page. So what I will do a turn on debug mode. This will open up the web part. These are the elements that we have here that we can make a change to. So I'm going to find this web part in the DB environment in our platform. So here, as you see, these are the list of web parts we have. I'm going to just go ahead and click here, find this web part, and here it's asking me to check out the source for a change. This is going to take the source from the production, so it maintains the source consistency across all environments. So this is how we have the web part right now. If you see, it exactly matches with what you have here. These are the different filters which are here on the top. I want to make a quick change to this web part. In my data source, these are all JDE fields I have from F4 to 01. So I will just go here and look for branch plans. So let's say your change order call for adding a branch plan in the inquiry for order. So here I added a branch plant. I will just go and do a find again. And just like that, you have just added a field from JDE AdWords to a form on the web. This is how you make a change. There was no compilation of a code. There was no write down. All happened automatically. So now I'm going to make another change. I'm going to add a new button here. So I go to Toolbox. These are the different elements that I can drag and drop from. So I'm going to drop this button here. I'm going to name this Contact Sales Rep. And here I'm going to put some logic to it. So far you saw I added a column to a web part. That was a visual change. The logic is where you can add more business logic to a view that you are looking at. So here on the left-hand side, you see all these services. We have 400 plus services. Those are the touch points to your enterprise data, web services. So in this scenario, I'm going to look for database, inquire.
Say, Suman, a question came in that I think is pertinent to where you are. Katie, what's the question that came in on chat?
Can you work with custom tables or data outside of JDE AdWords?
Absolutely. I am actually going to get to that right now.
Okay.
So here I am going to do an inquire, and I'm going to say get order details. And I'm going to double click here, and I'm going to find my file here. So see, it's automatically telling me list of all JDE files. I'm going to drag and drop 4211, which is not a custom table. I'll get to custom table soon. And then I'm going to inquire on order number that is coming from the inquire page. So this is all the page fields. So I'm going to drag and drop the order number that is being displayed. And all I want is the item number here. So I'm just going to SDLITM, drag and drop that. And actually, I'll also drag and drop the description. SDDSC1. That was the first part of the inquiry. Now let's say you have some data sitting in a custom table. And let's say, it's a shipping information. So now I'm going to go to a custom table for shipping info. And here I'm going to a custom table. So this is a custom table F55. So to answer the question, yes, you can do custom table. You can also go to tables which are not in JDE. So as you see here, this connection string, you can have your own connection string, which could be a EASY database, Oracle database.
And we've had that. People said, hey,
all the time.
I've got bill of lading and a 3PL. That's not an issue for us.
It's very common in any complex enterprise. It happens all the time. So I'm going to drag and drop the tracking number. And I'm going to tie this with the order number first. So just like I did, I'm going to tie this with the web page order number. And then I'm going to send this information into an email to sales rep. So here is my email service. I'm going to hardcode my email here, but as you saw, we could have queried JDE to get sales rep. We don't have the sales rep system set up. And then here I'm going to put the item number, the one that we query from JDE. I'll also put the description. So as you see, it's all drag and drop, the enterprise data, which is coming from our JDE, and tracking number. It's coming from the shipping table, which is a custom table for us. With all that, I'm going to join this. This is how you do business logic in EasyProcess. So now if I go back and do a find order now, I'll have a button here with contact rep. And then I can press this button, look for my email, test email for a webinar, there is the item number, item description. There is no tracking number. I will show that tracking number in production. This was the DB. So now I need to take this change to the production. So you go back to our change management system, do a refresh there, and there is my web part. Now I'm going to promote this to QA, and this is where your internal user can test and verify. While they are doing it, the production is still running an older version. So your multiple environments is fully maintained. Your users have a different environment. Now from the QA, I'm going to promote it to production. It's done. Let's go back to the production side. Let's log in. This is the URL that Doug was using. And do a find and track. And there you go. As you see, it's a blue background because it's using a different theme, but it's the same logic here. Here's your branch plant. The data is different, coming from 9.2 environment, and now this email came from production. Item number, description. Let's find an order which has a tracking number, and let's contact rep for this one. And here's the email with the tracking number. It's a different item. So that's how we make a change. 10 minutes, no compilation, code compilation, no code change. You are still not out of sync with our base platform. In future, if you upgrade, you should have your changes in. We are not going to redo that change for you. It's all, and user, you can do this while user is using the website. There is no downtime. It's a safe promotion. We make sure that if we do a safe replace of the web part, so there is no duplication or something.
And this is just a tip of the iceberg. I came from a different company that was doing everything in .NET, and when, especially with customer-facing e-commerce, there seems to be a more the need to customize in that type of environment, or companies having customized environments. And I saw this being worked from a programming language perspective. I've actually had people at my prior company say, you don't have a change management system, do you? Because, if you did, we wouldn't be experiencing these issues. And what Suman is highlighting is that our solution is state-of-the-art. I started this webinar by saying the platform matters, the architecture matters. And when you're looking at not only the primary focus of this webinar, why and how can we do things so quickly, even the approach of AstroNova, this is new for us. Just take your software, install it from a vanilla out of the box. We'll do all the net change after that. Very few companies, unless they had an advanced platform like what Suman just showed, would have a very, very difficult time with that approach. Most of our implementations are, in fact, an upfront requirements meeting, all the stakeholders working through a detailed project plan. But the point is, with a platform, we can extend that additional functionality and highlight why not only our code is so robust, our integration is so robust, but we can do it at such a low price point and very quickly. Well, we are at the pretty much at the 58-minute point of the webinar. We will be following up. We'd love to engage with you from a one-to-one, discuss your project perspective. We'll be sending you the full slide deck and the recording of this webinar. Many folks simply requested the recording. We hope you learned something, and most of all, once again, thank you for allowing us to show you a little bit about our company, our solution, and we will follow up. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of the day. Bye now.
Thank